Hey guys, we're in the final stretch of the year, which means now is the perfect time to check in with those goals, reevaluate, and set yourself up for some success. Most of us will set goals for our businesses or at our jobs, at least on an annual basis. But how are you leveraging this game changing tool in your personal life too? In today's episode, we unjuggle goal setting gold and how to set your sights on finishing out the year strong. It's been a long time since I felt a little lost in setting goals for myself. I just feel like the practice has become something that is so second nature in my life. Even in my youth, I was setting goals and I was making plans to achieve those goals. Then, especially stepping into high performance corporate roles, goal setting all around budgets and development, it felt almost like the heartbeat for the reason we came to work every day. Hit the top line target, grow that bottom line number, and keep developing the skill sets of our people. On today's episode, I just want to share a goal setting technique that I've used personally and professionally to conquer some huge milestones in my life. I've also coached probably a couple hundred people on this technique, and I've just watched how powerful it was in their development too. Have you ever heard the saying, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll end up at least amongst the stars? Even if we don't fully accomplish our goals, the action that we took, it was at least in the right direction. It still sets us up for greatness beyond what we would have potentially accomplished otherwise. How I want to present this is it's just a moment to ensure that we're all on the same page about why we set goals. And then I want to ensure that we're walking away today with a practical tool on how to actually set those goals for ourselves. So this is your alert, or hey, here's your notice that this is totally a bite-sized piece of what I would walk my coaching clients through. And here you are picking it up for free. It must be your lucky day. And really too, I'm so grateful that you're here listening to the episode. So thanks for being here. Also, I record these episodes because a lot of times it's very selfishly, it's what I need in the moment. And I just want to kind of bring you up to speed with where I'm at and vulnerably just mention that I'm actually in a season where my goals right now, they kind of feel so big that they are currently scaring the crap out of me. And I'm navigating through that as much as holding myself accountable to knowing that I need to set some more, maybe like bite size or maybe more manageable goals along the way too to help me get there. Because I know for me, sometimes our goals can seem literally galaxies away. And those are usually really great long term goals, but we still have to ensure that we're setting ourselves up to for some small wins because that's going to help create momentum, and momentum is contagious. For just these small wins along the way that keep inching us closer and closer and closer to that new galaxy. And I think that that's where, again, I'm personally needing some reminders that I'm going to share here with you today. So first things first, when was the last time that you just hopped in a car, had no idea where you were going, and without a map or even a general like direction that you just drove? For most of us, we're not going to do that. How do you think that would work out? Like, we'd probably end up seeing maybe some really great places, but we'd also probably spend most of the time just wandering around aimlessly and maybe even end up not actually really going that far. So, setting goals, it's like identifying the destination and putting the coordinates into the GPS to guarantee that you get there, or at least that you get closer to there as fast as you can, and that you take the right roads along the journey. We set goals to ensure that our efforts of daily living are aligned to where we actually want to take our lives. So start with the desire. Like, what is it that you want. And the challenge absolutely is to write it down if you can. I remember there was a statistic, I think it was in 2023, posted in off of LinkedIn that said that you were 42% more likely to accomplish your goals if you wrote them down. 42%. Like it's so big. I will say it from the mountaintops. Write your goals down and you increase your odds by 42%. Like that's a pretty darn good bet. So, first is it, what is it that you want? Write it down. The second step, look at that. It was already so easy, right? Second step is to identify why you want that thing. And I feel like this is most often I feel like this is the part of goal setting that gets missed, but I also feel like this is potentially the most critical part of the process. And I think where my brain is going is like, sure, it's easy to say, I want $1 million. And I think then very naturally we come up with things like that we would spend that million on, but without an actual emotional, like heartfelt connection, it's not a convicted enough why. Our reasons why we want to hit a goal, they must come from a place of like total conviction. Because in the moments where our motivation withers, it's our conviction to that cause that will encourage us to keep showing up for our goals. So, why, for instance, an example here, like, why do you want to lose weight? Sure, maybe your initial response is like, oh, well, it's for that upcoming wedding. But that's not actually why. That would be more so the time frame, in fact. Your why may be because you want to feel confident as heck and you know you're better than to show up totally out of shape and like physically broken. You're ready to feel strong again and full of more energy and literal and figurative. Yeah, literal and figurative lightness again, right? Another why example that comes to mind is that maybe you want to, and I think this could be really relevant for folks, right? Like maybe you want to make a couple extra grand to be able to put towards the holiday season. And in asking yourself why, you can become convicted about the type of holiday that you want to have with your family and the real funds that that's going to require. For me, one of the things that like I desire as I look out at the last part of the year is an increased awareness. Like it's one of my goals. I'm on a mission to have an increased awareness and adherence to healthy boundaries during the holiday season. I have several whys that keep me convicted and connected to this desire, but really just including the reminder of just how precious time with our kiddos is. It's tiny time. I've got two young children, and I don't want to be so busy running from this holiday party or that holiday event that we're actually unable to slow down and really just be present with the kids this season. So I want to experience their joy. I want to watch the way that they light up like Christmas trees. And it's absolutely selfish. Like I want to selfishly and like deeply imprint those moments, as many as I possibly can, on my heart. So that's one of my goals. That's one of my what's, and that's one of my whys behind it. Now, once we have those two things, now we can actually start to set real, I would say, like action plans around how we're going to obtain the things that we want. I have always used, and I would say this is also part of like key to the secret sauce here. I have always used the SMART method. So, SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. This is a well known method. I did not develop it, but it is something I've used a gazillion times over the last decade in business and in personal goal setting. Goal setting isn't just daydreaming. Like goal setting is setting you up for action. Think of goal setting as building the action plan for the things you want most. So when we start with what we want, We'll say it's that, like, let's take this example all the way through. So, let's say it's that we want that extra money for the holidays and we're convicted with why we want it. Then we apply this smart system to actually make it possible to obtain. So, this is what it would look like. So, the S, specific. We say, for example, I want to generate an additional $2,000 for my family to spend on holidays this year. What makes this measurable already is that we included a dollar amount. So we didn't just say, I want to make extra money, but we specifically we put that dollar amount in front of it. It's very measurable. You either make $2,000 extra or you don't. Moving through that SMART acronym, now we're at the A. So how do we make this attainable? Maybe you know that you could pick up a few extra overtime shifts to do that. Or maybe you know that you could sell some of your crafty items on Etsy or something. Or maybe you could sell some items on Facebook Marketplace that you no longer need. Like you could start thinking of ways just to make that goal happen. And maybe it's even a combination of ways that you can make this thing attainable. When I'm doing goal setting, I really just let my brain go wild when I'm thinking about like, how could I do this attainable piece? This is where I just brain dump anything as possible because that's how I find that I'm able to tap into that creative solutioning that's going to get me there. So it's just kind of this brain dump of what are all the ways that I could make this happen. Then we move into the R, so realistic. For example, maybe while brainstorming on how do I make this extra money before the end of the year, you recognize that if you sold 200 of your crafty t-shirts, that would do it. But where the realistic part comes into play is that maybe you know that you really only have like 25 left to sell. So this is where that plan really starts to come together because you start to see the road that you'll need to travel to actually get to the destination. And then you just tie it all together with a bow by making it time bound. So maybe this extra 2000 is something that you'll need before the end of November so you can splurge in December. Now you've got your time constraints. So if we put it all together, we want extra money for the holidays. We are deeply connected to the reason why we want it. And now we actually have a plan to make it happen because we created it underneath that SMART acronym. So it would look something like, if you were going to make it a sentence, it looks something like, I'm on a mission to generate an additional $2,000 for my family before the end of November to use for the holiday season because, and this is where you would insert your convicted why. To do this, I'm going to sell 25 crafty t-shirts. I'm going to pick up 3 overtime shifts in October. And I'm finally going to sell that extra bedroom set that's been in the storage for the last 4 years. How does that feel? Like that's solid, right? That feels like a good, like holy bananas plan. Like it actually makes it feel like it's possible, doesn't it? And that is effective goal setting. And I want to, again, just kind of like call out that I am constantly mentioning the importance of language in these episodes. And I don't know if you noticed, but for instance, I made a slight language adjustment from saying I want to, and I switched that out for I'm on a mission to. Just because for me, and even if you repeat after me, like say I want to versus I'm on a mission to, say it, I'm on a mission to, it sits differently in your body, doesn't it? So I don't know. That's my thing, I guess. But maybe play with it for yourself a little bit too. Something else I also want to highlight is that this process of goal setting is actually probably something you've been doing, but maybe didn't even realize that you've been doing it all along. Just think like when your boss said, hey, we need to hit this revenue target. So we're going to do X, Y, and Z before the end of the year. That's exactly what it was they were doing. Or if it was like, hey, before the end of the year, we need to complete this many jobs, same thing. So this process to some degree, it's actually probably second nature for you. So if we do this at our jobs, why wouldn't we do this in our personal lives too? So the challenge, like the walk away challenge here, think of maybe just 2 personal goals that you'd like to hit before the end of the year. Maybe it is a weight loss goal. Maybe it is a goal to get to someone or somewhere before the end of the year. Maybe it's a financial goal. Whatever it is, I challenge you to write it down and to put it through this process. What do you want? Why do you want it? And to put it through SMART. So, and then the other thing that's kind of popping up here too is that if you were already diligent and you put some, like you set some goals for this year, maybe it's not at this point in time, maybe it's not as much about like setting new goals as it is just about reviewing and reevaluating where you are at with those goals you said you wanted to accomplish. You still have a few months left to either tackle them or perhaps just make some adjustments to them under the new time constraints. In the new year, I will absolutely, I'm already planning on it because I know it's something I need every year. I'll drop another episode related to this topic just because when we're looking to set annual goals, which is something my husband and I do, we sit down together as a family. There are some other components that we weave into this process, and it's things like setting long-term and short-term goals for the main areas of our lives, like physical health, mental health, personal growth, professional growth, etc. But at least for now, like we've gotten into some pretty darn good foundational basics here that I've just seen work really, really well. And in fact, I'd love to continue to support you. Something I'm thinking of right now is like, I can totally do this. I will share the goal setting worksheet that I use for myself. So just check, how am I going to do this? I'm going to put it in the show notes. So I'll put a link in the show notes. You can just go grab that free goal setting worksheet and that'll walk you through these steps. At the end of it, because I always like to bring things back here, our unjuggle summary for goal setting is to stretch ourselves and to give our lives just really focused direction so that we can, in fact, land among the stars. When we're goal setting, we're simply doing 3 steps. The first one is we identify what we want. The second is we get really convicted on our why. And the third is we create the goal underneath that SMART acronym, which means your goal becomes specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. I am totally rooting for you. I can't wait for you to just look back at the end of the year and for you to relish in all of the wonderful things that you were able to accomplish with literally just a little bit more intention and that focused goal in front of you. Before I let you go, like I always love sharing some additional just coaching options available. And I'll tell you that the thing I am most excited about this month, we're going to run a 3-day joy challenge and we're going to be running it towards the end of October. So this is just going to be a virtual call, probably for like 15 minutes, just for 3 days in a row. There's going to be giveaways and it's just all going to be about equipping you with some extra joy tools right before this holiday season really launches. I know that I shared that I'm really looking forward to just being present and enjoying the holiday season. And I know that means that I better have my mind, I better have my priorities, I better have my values like buckled in and ready to go before this, this relative is calling about that dinner, or this person wants to do this gathering instead, or all of the things. I want to make sure that I'm right and feeling good heading into the holidays. So that's one of the reasons why we're running the Joy Challenge. So consider this, your personal invite. Keep an eye out on the socials or email me at brittany@brittanytalinci.com if you're ready to jump into that Joy Challenge with us. Like, let's head into the holidays beaming, feeling refreshed and joyous. So all right, guys. Other than that, the new Unjuggle the Struggle Facebook page is also live now. So please go follow the page to stay up to date with purpose, joy, freedom, tips. And until next time, go crush those goals. Like I said, I am rooting for you. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus writers. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.